Good evening, TNT family. I want to welcome you back to Yellow's Decode on UNC USA. I have Mr. Vid C. Ram and Mr. Suman Singh with us, and we're expecting a few others to join us for a couple of minutes. So, Mr. C. Ram, I want to welcome you back to Yellow's Decode program on UNC USA. And I was wondering if you could give us a little how to say update and where you see us dealing with the financial situation. We saw the corruption in CPEP. We saw the issues with Caribbean Airlines that we're trying to sort out. I see finally they moved the central bank governor and replaced that. And so I'm hoping to see that we are able to sort out things. So I'd like to get your input on what's taking place and how you feel about things.
Well, I think there's several positive steps that the government has taken. They've cancelled all those what I would call bastard contracts with CPE. Um, Obviously, they were very biased towards the last government and their associates and so on that got contracts, without proper procedures. So I think that uh, remedy has started, which is a good thing. With regards to the governor of the central bank, um, this is the first time I saw somebody got fired and they were so happy. That Hilaire, no doubt he probably got a good payoff for breach of contract. So I think it's a good thing that he is gone. Hopefully, Larry would look at some of the recommendations I've been making over the years with regards to improving protection to consumers of banking facilities and get that resolved. I think what is important, and they've said it openly now, whilst they don't have to disclose who getting the effects for the time being, I mean, ultimately that has to be disclosed because there should be no secrets about the people's money. But they need to implement a fair system to know exactly what we could import and what we can't import. In addition to that, the problem with the allocation is the SMEs are paying a much higher price for their foreign exchange, and therefore they are not in a position to compete with the larger companies. So that has to be resolved very quickly. Sorry, excuse me. So I think that's a major event. Um, with regards to the pension fund for Stuart Young, um, that's a major flaw in the system because there was nothing to prevent Stuart Young from resigning and appointing somebody else as prime minister the following day, and that person resign and appoint somebody else the next day, and they all bleeding the taxpayers with regards to these massive pensions. So I think that's a major flaw. I sorry for Stuart Young who should have not accepted it in the first place, but these days the question of ethics and so on don't really apply. As somebody in one of my groups had said, but that's a lot of money to give away. But that is not the issue. There's something about morality in public office. So I'm glad that has been resolved. So I think the government is moving very fast on many fronts, and hopefully that these things get resolved because there are there's so many things to address in Trinidad today. Let me just comment on one thing that I've really alerted to the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, and everyone. But bad habit is very, very hard to change. Say, for example, the deficit, they continue to underestimate the deficit, which is very worrying. So whilst the Minister of Finance says 9 billion deficit, they have to add on now the capital, that is the loan repayment, the principal repayment, and sinking fund contribution, which is probably another 7 or 8 billion dollars. So you're looking at around $16 billion for year ending this year. But what the government has been doing, what I realize how they have been funding it, whilst they allocate X and Y amount to certain ministries, at the end of the year, they do not release the quantum of funds. They do not release it. So therefore, they are able to fund the deficit via that plus additional borrowings. So, the population is not being given the truth, and I'll remind the Minister of Finance again on it, about it, because coming up to the budget for the following year, we cannot ignore it for the simple reason that we have to show how you're going to fund the true deficit, which is that you have to add on about $7 billion. But the Ministry of Finance and the personnel within the Ministry of Finance who are preparing the numbers, they're fully aware of it because I've made issue about calculating the true deficit for the last, I would say, about 7 or 8 years, and the government has recognized it. Sometimes in the budget they will put the caveat, and other years in the budget they will exclude the caveat. The caveat meaning to say the expenditure net of capital repayment and sinking fund contribution. So the automatic question is, what are those numbers? They have to explain what are those numbers. You cannot leave a budget hanging like that. That is incomplete and not being discussed by, in this case, 41 members of parliament plus the senators. I mean, all of them should be alert to this. Should be alert. Otherwise, they would not be able to meet their expenditure for their allocation, and therein lies a big problem because you'll be promising Ministry of, let's say, Agriculture a certain amount, and you shortchange them because you don't have the funds. You're promising Ministry of Security and National Security and so on X amount of numbers. You're promising numbers for Ministry of Education, and you would not be able to fulfill those commitments. Therein lies a big problem. So hopefully, I will remind the government again, and hopefully they could correct it going forward.
The way I see it, we got mouths to feed, right? And while some people are getting fat and more fat, and people like Stuart Young and Extension, and the rest of the team there. I mean, you saw the prime minister took the largest pension for himself on his exit, and they all set up each other. They all facilitating each other financially, while the rest of most of the country suffered. So we went into government with the agenda to change that and to take care of our people, and that's what we're doing. So we need to cut out as much fat as we can from those that have sucked the system dry, and I'm very happy to see what the prime minister is doing on that part.
Absolutely. So I think they have to continue in that vein. And as they dig more into the finances to say where they can cut and where they can reduce. Another major area, and in these days of such efficient communication, they have to look at the appointment of ambassadors throughout the world. We don't need so many. We can have one. I'll give you one example. For example, what's the purpose of CARICOM? We can have one person from CARICOM representing all the islands, and depending on this on certain countries where we don't do much business, but we need a presence. So we can use CARICOM to that effect. So we have to watch all areas of expenditure and determine, for example, an ambassador in Brazil. All these ambassadors should come and represent in the parliament what they have done for the 6 months or the quarter or whatever period. What have they done? They must earn their keep. They must earn their keep. It should no longer be appointment for favors in the past or whatever you may have done in the past. So we have to be very careful going forward. Very, very careful with regards to our expenditure.
Well, my experience, I had a little experience where our people was locked out of the country, and I found myself doing more than the ambassadors and the consulate general across the world in assisting our people. So that is something I have to discuss with the government and putting certain things in place. But we must focus. I mean, there's a lot of people within Trinidad and Tobago who have been sucking our treasury and benefiting because of friends and family in association, and and fooling people to vote a certain way because of who they look like, or what association they're with, or if they dislike Kamala or the UNC or whatever their reasoning. But in the meantime, not focusing on the destruction that was taking place in the country, with our healthcare system. And we need a lot of accountability how the money was spent within the last year, last 10 years, especially with the COVID situation. We need accountability. We have not gotten any real accountability on I mean, and then we see the extent of the cleanup that our team had to do with the flood mitigation situation, you know?
But as you mentioned, the COVID and the prevention of citizens coming back to Trinidad, when at the same time you open the airport for the vice president of Venezuela to come in, that is massive. That is an example of acute discrimination, and I think that has to be investigated.
Yeah, that
It
has
has
to
to
be
be
invested. But what I
investigated.
looked at, we needed. I was an inexperienced guy who found myself doing things better than those who were in position and getting highly paid for it. Our people had no one to call. That's how they ended up calling me because of a matter of word of mouth. I didn't go there advertising myself that much. But the thing about it is that what I discovered is these people in position had no interest and couldn't help and did not stand up for people, did not relay the situation our people was really facing here outside. They are supposed to be relaying the information of what is going on with our people and how many people we have and what is their status of their situation. I found myself fighting for everything and not with much help. And all the popular activists on the ground there who are more advertising themselves did nothing, absolutely nothing. But to me, I am very concerned with how our foreign mission is currently structured and the quality of people there. So this has to change. Should there be any kind of a disaster going forward, whether it's a world war, we need to prepare our embassies and foreign missions to assist our people better. I'm looking for extended hours to service our people. I mean, they're this kind of short. They want to operate like in Trinidad, where they could close up the office and not knowing the fact that the status of the situation with our people outside. There's no consideration with the current structure in meeting the needs of our citizens. This is something we will talk more about. But the financial situation, you are very well experienced and versed in that, and you could continue advising us and the government on what we should and should not do and what we should look into.
Just one last point, if I may add. I don't know if you saw Senator Kamamaraj. He brought to the fore that, and he did say it in a very bold fashion, that it was criminal, it was fraud to close down Petrotrin. So I would encourage them to set up a committee to look into that very seriously,
Oh,
because
that's something.
in my view, every decision by government must be well documented to say why did you make that decision, and if you cannot justify that decision, it would mean to say that you are you're mis what you call misappropriating the country's assets, and that has to be accounted for. So I'm glad he has opened the door, and hopefully there'll be more voices. I will shout at the top of my voice that that has
Please.
to be investigated.
I am not only the financial situation, but we have to monitor the natural resources in the fact that how it's being moved. Because I am of the opinion that we have a lot of our resources crossing the border illegally. I am very suspicious of the fact that a lot of our oil crossed the border illegally without any accounting. So disclosing our Petrotrin, there's a lot of accountability besides the actual financial, how to say, situation of the refinery, but what was not accounted for. We saw that little drama with the AV Joyland company, and then they shut down Petrotrin right after that. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are looking very suspicious. Until so there's a lot of investigation, a lot of work I could say from my common sense. For me, that has to be done in my perspective.
Well, I agree with you 100%, because that's a priority to secure whatever assets we have and ensure whatever oil and gas and so on that is being pumped and out of the ground, that we have knowledge of the amount. Um, I think at one point the government had, not this government, the last government had declared that we do not know how much oil is being pumped and shipped away from the offshore fields. It would mean to say that we are depending on the Scouts honor for the foreign companies to tell us how much they should, how much oil is being pumped offshore and
Totally
exported.
unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Well, did you think this is a joke?
Yes, totally unacceptable.
So some people have
And
to
if
go
you,
seriously. I am serious about that. We need some people prosecuted to send a clear message on what took place there.
yes, because if we are losing billions at the moment, that is critical monies that we can use otherwise. Critical. So I think we have to be brave enough and ensure that we could monitor the volume and the barrels of oil that is going away. We need to do that urgently. Whether we have to hire a third party expertise abroad to come in and make sure that that is being done. And that is why, I don't know if you recall, a few years ago, Rowley and Stuart Young went to Texas and they negotiated a deal with regards to the pricing of oil. And the oil companies uh, told them, look, hold $1 billion US, hold $1 billion US. Where did that come from?
Exactly. All of these things that we definitely need to look into. So I mean, I would say for the next year, we would have to really. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of investigation, in getting these things sorted out, and it may take us more than that. But I do want to see that we retrieve that money, that was taken from our treasury and from our country, because we have far too many people suffering. We have far too many things undone. The infrastructure is so horrible. I mean, with the roads condition, the water situation, I mean, there are too many people in need for us to let that go.
But just a last point that we highlight. Now that we are looking closely at the allocation of foreign exchange, government has to step up very quickly and probably curb the importation of certain things. For example, motor vehicles. We have enough trucks in the island. We could curb that. And if anyone needs to import, let's say, specialized equipment and tractors and so on, let them make a case for it. And the case has to be we do not have the particular item in Trinidad. That is one, and it is badly needed for a special assignment or something. But whenever a contractor gets a contract, the first thing they do is start buying equipment, whether those equipments are available in Trinidad or not, and that is millions of dollars that is being spent
I think Mr. Suman, Mr. Sriram Feroz, Suman, you want to jump in here, or Dr. Ramu
Yeah,
Kamaraj, jump in?
I can continue on his behalf. Welcome to all. Glad to have all of us back again. Just like to concur what Reed said, and this has been my argument from day one. The entire system, government system, is broken, and we got to spend not 1 year, maybe a year and a half to 2 years only to fix this thing. So when are we going to develop and and deliver on our promises? Remember the law say you cannot do nothing. So basically, 2.5 to 3 years, your implementation is stalled. So whatever your promises were in the manifesto, if you're going to deliver these things, it has to be done in year 3 and year 4. That's the start. So you basically have 2 years to implement these things. That's one. But the major thing I want to, agree with is the monies available in the country's coffers. We still don't know how much funds we have. Now, remember, I mentioned in the same program, when you have these same old public servants going to do these figures for you, be careful. Be very careful. In 2010, Deloitte were the one who, worked the financial statements and the balance sheet and what have you for the country. When you have these public servants who really saying they know that these carry forwards or these caveats were there, but it was never told to the country that
Mhm.
really instead of $9 billion now, it's really add another 7 billion to it. So it's closer to $16 billion in deficit. And you add that now to balloon payments, you add that all these things that may be due in 2027 or 2028, you can get an idea how crippling this can be for the financial, aspects of the country.
But so,
So
Suman, the thing about it is these guys raided our country and suffered our people. So I have
every
no mercy and no care for Stuart Young, Faris Awari and associates and family and friends and those who bled our treasury in the meantime while they did nothing to fix our country. Not, I mean, we don't see the things that look at the amount of work our local government had to do. They drained our treasury and all the big talk with Faris and them and nothing to show for it. So, I mean, we have to go after them, with a vengeance because there are too many people suffered in the country and the country is in too much of a bad condition.
Yeah, but Gary, you have to remember there is no leading legislation in place for these things. So they will and mind you, I am already seeing that they are on the verge of getting away with all these
Well,
things in a
I saw I
similar
saw the
way.
AG I saw the AG speaking my language a little bit there, so I was a little impressed with
A
him.
little bit,
I think
yeah.
he's heading in that direction. I think he's heading in that direction.
It's a little bit here and there, but the big ones, like if in 2010 they called the heart. Anything happened, they called the heart, and when he was forking out billions of dollars out of the Trinidad economy, nothing happened there, you know. And
Well,
I'm
I made it clear that ain't happening this time around. I'm intent to raise hell. That is not happening this time around.
Yeah, but if you don't have the legal aspects to back up what you're saying or want to implement, you have to do things retroactively. You have to get legislation to be passed
Right? So
retroactively,
we
and
have
that
a
will need.
majority and it needs to be done. And we need to keep preaching that outside here.
Yeah, but you see, again, look at what happened recently with the senators and the independent senators, and the talk is, are they really I'm sorry, independent, or are they
Yeah,
the
they
president's?
are depend. You see, like I said, I keep saying, right? The tentacles
Yes,
of the PNM are still there. We have to shackle them machete like how we cut cane and cut out all them tentacles of the PNM from the legal, from the justice system, from the police, from the army, the secret. I mean, all the security services, the every aspect of ministry. We have to cut it out.
the system is broken in all the ministries, and I keep repeating the same solution. It's broken in all ministries, and they deliberately run it down like this so that at the end you cannot accuse nobody for it. Nobody personally can be held responsible. And you back that up with you don't have the legislation to implement that, then these people get away scot free. And this is a sad moment in our history because we know that billions and billions and billions of dollars were stolen or siphoned off, or for whatever reasons. Deals signed with Australia and Australia to get boats over $1 billion. Deals with the negotiations in Houston with the oil and gas, $1 billion. $1 billion. This is like $1 million to these guys. They mean nothing. These are people's money that were expended. Central bank is keeping quiet. Where is the press and all these chamber of commerce and all these people in the business side of the economy? Where were their voices on all these things? So nobody is accounting for anything. And now you see that the media is playing, they're playing the race card. Oh, this guy, this expenditure, this was done for the black people, to suffer black people. The CPAP thing, which was done recently last week by Barry Paller. They already playing the race card on this thing that
Oh, they
or
will. They will. They're using, the PNM is trying to recycle itself,
and
and they're going to try to use anything possible. You see, they're trying to use the people laid off temporarily on the CPEP job as
yes,
discrimination. They will play that role, but not focusing on. They're trying to divert from the fact that the level of corruption that took place and the money. Those people that they hired didn't really benefit from that exorbitant amount of money spent. We all know that, right? But they're going to play that race card, and we know that, and that's why we have to stay straight in their face consistently.
yeah, they have the press, all the press to do that for them. They're doing the bidding for the PNM. So again, where is the communications from the present government to make sure
Well,
that the
UNC
people are?
USA is here, and we will do our part.
We could do
we're going
our
to light
part
the
here.
match. We're going
That's
to light the
again,
match.
that's yeah. It's a cremation like you're going to
No,
do.
no,
Burn them out.
we will strike the first match, but we cannot sit by and wait for the 1% media to take us on, because it would never happen,
They,
and
they already
and
started.
everything to condemn this government will go forward.
They already started. They already started. They condemning the central bank. They condemn. Listen, they are the big beneficiaries of all these forex. So they have to safeguard themselves. And now, if they see over the past 10 years who were getting what amounts, what was we used for, according to what the Prime Minister, the details which she needs, and how the distribution of forex was skewed to a particular sector in all aspects of the country, all aspects, all importations or goods coming into the country, whether it's drugs, meaning pharmaceuticals, not necessary that other type of drugs, which may be in part of it as well. Who knows? But they were monopolizing everything, and they shut off the small business sector, small and medium sector, the SMEs. And the SMEs are the backbone of this country. So when these people are shut off and they are eliminated, and they no longer, can do what they are doing, then it's
But in the
total
meantime, the one
monopoly.
percent majority was able to be enriched, and
And that is why,
they oppressed the guy who trying to sell on the side of the road, having the
correct,
police hung him up. How to say, they're confiscating their goods. The guy selling the chow, the guy selling the little bacon shark or whatever it is, the double. Some people, instead of trying to assist them in providing a place, because most people in the country who have a supermarket today started out selling on a bicycle or a donkey cart,
yep,
right? So I mean,
yeah,
so where they go in with this? Because we know most people started out doing things. We know about the Syrians holding a load of carpet or cloth on their back and walking around the country trying to sell. So where are they going with this nonsense they've been doing to our people? This cannot work. We have to provide ways for people to help themselves.
yeah. So when these small and medium SMEs were denied foreign exchange, so that they cannot upgrade on their plant and equipment and the machinery to continue doing a little woodworking guy, the guy making furniture and so on. And these guys no longer have foreign exchange to import their capital goods, which is, you know, manufactured goods which you can sell overseas or
Yes.
sell to CARICOM or so. So what happens now is that saying they run these people out of the economy. So and these same SMEs employ the 5, 10, 20, 30 people. So your employees are on the breadline. The SMEs are non-existent. So what have you? You created that monopoly for the 1%, exactly PNM's philosophy. When the 1% get rich, they can employ the masses of the people. That is their philosophy.
Yeah.
So,
Sumant, could I recommend something, Gary, and think about it?
Please
sure.
Is
recommend as
to,
much as you can.
yeah, what I would suggest, right? Say, for example, we should government could advertise it. All those SMEs and individuals and so on who was requested for an exchange for capital expenditure or for importation of critical goods to keep their business going and did not get it. Let them report that now to a centralized department within government, whichever ministry we can choose. But let them report it and log it in and log it in and then collate all that information and send it to central bank. Because I believe and we know that the SMEs are the ones who employ the greater number of workers in the country. And quite frankly, it is in the benefit of these large corporations to rid this country of the SMEs so that they reestablish monopolies. I don't know if you all old enough to remember some of the specialized hardwares like terrestrial and so on. If you
Yes.
needed a specialized piece of tool, you have to go into Port of Spain. You wouldn't get it elsewhere. With the coming of Mr. Pandey, UNC at the time, he really opened up the country and the country flourished. You had people
We
bringing.
have to decentralize, and we need a government in place where that it works with the people to build themselves, that they work. But the PNM wanted to keep a lot of people dependent with a string around their neck, and this is the system. And some people are so blinded by the race talk, and that was propagated to make them people feel that certain people are against them. And and look what happened. But I love how these young people lash out in this election. This election, the young people made the turnover here. The young people came out, from Labre and them places, and they told me so directly that Gary is not our old parents that voted here and caused the seat to win. It was we, the young people, that came out, and they said enough is enough. They're not going back. They're not taking this, and they want better for themselves.
Yeah, so I think we need to um, let the government know and the central bank know all those who have requested and have been refused. So you have.
Yes.
Oh, I'll tell you. So much you might know the procedure. For example, in the banks, when an application for a loan came in, and let's say for several reasons we had to turn it down, we had to prepare a report for senior management
Correct.
to see what has
US.
been happening. Why did we refuse a loan? And they could look at the facts and overturn the decision by the junior officers. So
Yeah, the risk
we need
assessment.
that conduit. Now, what has to happen? We already said that there are several things to be investigated, but in the meantime, there are low-hanging fruits that the government could introduce it in Trinidad and Tobago
To drive
that
the
the
revenue stream.
normal ordinary persons will be satisfied that the government is seeking their interest, and government has to now create credibility. They have to work on creating and enforcing credibility in themselves whilst you deal with the major issues about recovering funds from for corruption, etc., etc. But there are several things that they can do so that come 100 days, they should be able to advertise in the papers and the media what are the things have been accomplished, which would include certain legislation that has been passed or bills before Parliament to be debated.
Totally agreed. And if you look at what happened to one of the ministers or parliamentary secretaries, even the Prime Minister's office, Mr. Alaha, he is having serious problems with his with his bank for getting his salary. They needed this. The amount of stipulations they want now from him, although he has been a member of that bank, a customer for over 15 years. So it's a good thing it's happening at that level, sorry, so that they will be more sensitized to it.
Well,
And that is
we need a
urgent.
lot of the banking laws, and Mr. C. Ram can come through again, in and advise in that the banking laws and their how to say the SOP, the operational procedure has to be revised, and how they treat our customers, the level of service they provide, the product that they provide to our people. All these things has to be looked at, and this is where I find Mr. C. Ram comes in very strongly on that also.
Yeah, but we all may have a voice in that, but is need to have the guts to implement it. You know that you
Yeah, I mean,
need to
yeah, definitely. I mean, with with what your
because
experience is and the input on it.
but what happened? What I read today was that was so good is that someone at this senior level is experiencing the problems with the bank itself. So that's a good that it gives it credibility to say what we are saying here, and some action needs to be urgently taken. Like how simple thing, how difficult it is to open a bank account. This is what he was saying. So difficult to open a bank account in your name. You need to have this, you need to have that. Certain things, yes, you'll agree with, but everything else is being discouraged, and then
I
the
mean,
whole
documents for identification purposes is okay. I mean,
yes,
it's absolutely necessary. But when you and these are things that people like Farish Harari and then people constructed here. I would say, in my opinion, that that put the ordinary man in difficulty while them who was hoarding the wealth of the country. These heartless people.
the street
Yeah,
of
so hello, hi,
services.
hi everybody. Hello.
Right.
Yeah, hi, hi,
Welcome,
How are you?
Doctor
Good to see you guys. Look,
Abdullah.
you guys looking younger, man.
hi,
Hey,
hi,
Mr.
Dr.
Ram.
Barak.
Yeah, yeah, hi, hi. You all guys look. I'm impressed with what you all are saying. You all are very smart people, and you're talking a lot about in the area of that is so important. But we would not win an election the next time around if we get so serious. You all are too smart in this area. It wouldn't carry you very far. It will. The only way to carry far is to win the next election the next time around. Because all of these things we are saying, they're very noble. They're well grounded in any kind of theory and philosophy. The best can be done for the country. And you all are really on top of things. I mean, I haven't heard Dr. Ramrup yet, but I'm sure he has a lot of things to say himself. So let me just um, go along with you all a little bit and then deviate slightly. You all are mentioning the foreign exchange issue, and that's nice. And often I'm hearing you talking about who gets what, who gets the foreign exchange, which is an important question. Um, Prestige Holdings, who holds all these franchises from that you find in America. They're holding these and they're making 51% profit. I would like to know on balance how much foreign exchange are they draining or are they gaining any net foreign exchange for the country? For example, if I leave the United States and I go to Trinidad and I purchase, I sell my US dollar and I buy KFC with my Trinidad dollar, I would say I'm contributing foreign exchange. Is there any way we could know how much of this for Prestige Holdings are using or net earner of foreign exchange? Um, you see, because your attorney general is along. You see, because many of you want. I see somebody just said just now that to jail this and jail that. You know to win in that. That is not what we're all about. If someone did something wrong, don't let them go, definitely. But we're not going to, you should not spend a lot of time trying to look at whatever wrongdoing we may define and go after whoever it might be. That might have its place in due course. In the meantime, we have a business to run, we have a country to run, we have people who are on the breadline, we have all kinds of issues being raised. And so I want to say this then. If I listen to what the PNM was saying, or even the Guardian that some of you sent to me, and I read them. That the guys from the so-called independent senators, I find it very strange to see them. They're voting lock, stock, and barrel along one line, and it happened a second time. Then this president has to break the break the deadlock. Um, and if you listen to them, they talk about they're independent and therefore their mind is independent. You cannot be independent and vote in one way all the time, which seems to be the history of the people. And I don't know why they make an excuse, because the governor general, whatever she name is, the president is elected by the PNM, and the people here are going to choose PNM people. So why should they think they're independent? They could not be. They should be, but they're not. Look how they're voting. Tell me, look how they're voting, and they're riling up because let me tell you, your attorney general is telling us about the Gulf bodies. Some of your Gulf bodies are there. Those guys who are reeling up and saying we independent and is against the constitution and independent senator and vote how he wants and how he please, garbage. If you was, why the hell so many? Okay, so you get me drift. So leave it there. So I would like to know if Prestige Holdings are bringing any foreign exchange in, and it seems to be expanding, bringing more franchises with names that Trinidadians know about, but is not in the country as yet. And that important thing we want to know, who are really, without even getting names, tell us then what companies are getting foreign exchange and how much are they getting and what are they bringing back in terms of net return in terms of foreign exchange. Because I'll tell you, if and some of them, Ned mentioned it, and also Sumit, if you use in foreign exchange, it has to be for capital expenditure. Very rare. You could have a tire system. Capital expenditure number one, and number two is consumption, and number three, and then maybe Sumit, that's why sometimes I get a little angry about the AI and bringing all this AI. But the first thing run to my mind, AI and new AI and this new technology, foreign exchange down the drain again, unless we can make money out of these things. So that is why I'm a little skeptical about bringing all kind of foreign technology into the country when we don't have we come to depend on the technology, but we're not even transferring properly. We're not even creating, we are transferring, we're only using and become users of technology. And so we see that the Prime Minister is coming on Thursday. They have a lot of things to offer Trinidad and Tobago by way of the technology, and we have to make good use of this. We have to realize, and everybody, and a lot of people in the UNC is realizing this, no matter what their orientation is. But India is like I said, so the last time I spoke to you all, I said this is the Indian century. And they're proving it to be right. They're making all kinds, we talk about the previous, there are all kinds of advancement. This is a time for us to latch on. And I like the idea that Ben talked about, maybe CARICOM shouldn't have so many representatives. Maybe at some cases I think it is done already, but I know Trinidad used to be doing that for smaller islands. I don't know how much of it is doing. We should be able to leverage the Caribbean as we used to do in the past before we became so dumb with our money and give it away with no return for them on it. We used to be smart people. I told you, we got so dotish over the past number of years. We should be the leader, and the other Caribbean countries follow. They should encourage us to go up, and when we go, we pull them up. Don't come down to their level and say, let's unite, and like the PNM is doing, let's unite together and let's blah blah. That's fine. That have its place. But if you could push Trinidad up, they will pull all of you together. Rising boat, as they say, will lift all ships, boats, something like that. So I think that the laptop that I was talking about some time back, that if there's a way we could make some of these in our own country, or have the wherewithal, the technology, and there's where India could come in again and help you guys. So while they're here, and I know Sumit is on this, and while they're here, see what we can get out of them in terms of development of country. Because we are Indian people, but we're not going back to live in damn India. We might, if I had to go back to either United States or I go back to Trinidad, I'm not going anywhere else. So I mean, well, I like India, but I visit maybe, that's it. So I just want to tell you all that because you also know so much about this area, I want to tell you all, I listen to the PNM people a lot, and I like to attack what they're saying. and I listen. I see they're getting a lot of time, and that is the same golf bodies and them giving them more time. Because if you listen to the fellow who lost his seat in San Fernando West, and the other one from Southern Central, he is also a senator. You see how these guys laying out the case. They lay out the case that you're firing these people who voted for you. Crap. The UNC must also answer them, and this boy did the correct thing. I'm not sure how if he took it too far, but the PRO of the UNC, he came out and lashed them out really hard. But they could do more of that. But just be a little more temperate and don't look for a fight. But be smart so that you could attack them without being So the legal fight might take a long time to come, and also be send them to jail, blah 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 blah. Okay, good. But in the meantime, we have a country to run, and we must put the best foot forward to make it sure that we win the next 5 years. I am concerned about the next 5 years. And that is why I want all of you to take this. And many things you are saying. Let me just say this last thing on the foreign exchange thing. My argument is this. Yes, we would like to know who getting what and who getting what. I want to look at a growing pool, a larger pool. I want to get this foreign exchange pool, and whatever I can do here, I will try my best. And I could have ideas on this area as well. But I want the pool to get larger and larger. That will take care of the downside, which is the demand side. I want to increase the supply in the foreign exchange to the country because I realize you guys need it. You guys need it for an exchange, and from all the conversations, a lot of the discussion, you could borrow a lot of local money, and you know these things are. You could borrow local money, and that it does not affect it so much. But when you go in the foreign exchange market, that is where the rubber hits the road. So hard currencies, yes, let's try and increase it. And I see the farmers are suffering now. I would say before we starting about the capital expenditure, maybe we could have import substitution, like I said in the last day. Import substitution. The farmers are losing the crops and the water and rain, and I don't know what we could do about that. But those are immediate low-hanging problem. As you talk about fruits, those are the low-hanging problems we could deal with. If there's any way we could give these farmers some kind of compensation or some kind of, I said, insurance, subsidized insurance, some kind of yes. This. Let me just say this, because I wouldn't stop tonight. So there's a lot of problems in this country, and we have to calm down and deal with them one by one. Not as a lackadaisical Trinidad, not as yesterday Trinidadian, but a Trinidadian of tomorrow. But it calls for a new paradigm shift in the way we think. And I remember I told Sumit, I was telling her, you all told you that you have lots of dust or lots of files, and you have all kind of research already done with your research. It's time to dust it, bring them out of the rubber of the cobweb, and update them, and let's go. They have to do it, and they cannot wait any longer. Time is running out, and these people are barking at you, and they're making some headway, and people are taking a second guess. Gary talked about the young people. These young people are not, they're still looking for a leadership. They will go either way. We have to make it sure that we win. While we're smart in economics, we have to also be smart or even smarter in politics. I'll leave you all with that. Good night. I'll listen. Go ahead.
Dr. Maharaj, I always concur with you because the data shows that UNC won the election because a lot of PNM supporters did not go and vote. That's the number one reason. When you look at the data again, you will realize that the typical UNC voter count in most of the elections, let's say from the 1990s to today, was always about 310 to 308 to 315,000. This year, the total was just 25,000 more. So where is that 25,000 more coming from? That would have been a natural crossover from the PNM to the UNC. And those would have happened only in certain constituencies. So they will come and tell you, oh, we are able to get 110,000 supporters from the PNM. No. These people can just walk back at the next election time, change their mind, and you see what Penny is saying, come back home. And if the same 110,000 go back to their roots and come back home, the UNC is going to lose the next election. So don't be fooled by they telling you that, we were the ones who caused you to win the election. Yes, to an extent, a very minimal extent. Because if you take 25,000 and use more voters, is what that's the crossover amount, and you take Point Fortin, La Brea, and parts of Sando West, and then amortize it among these constituencies, you will really see is 3,000 or 4,000 per constituency coming
Right.
over.
So once you say that, then my point is, what are we going to do the next time around? We want to keep them, or we want to
Correct.
find new ones.
We want to
We
keep
want to
them
keep them. We want to find new ones. But
and
we
find
have
new
to
ones.
look. The horizon is next 5 years. Go ahead.
Definitely, the horizon is next 5 years. So we're starting with the school population now. The new ones coming out, make sure they get their laptops, they can vote the next time around, and so on. Right? So that is a target base. You have to convince, well, out of these people, I don't know how you're going to do it as yet. Didn't develop any strategy or so, but you have to get some of that 110,000 who did not vote for PNM and did not vote for UNC as well. They remained on the sideline. Remember in 2010, that was our same strategy. That's the same strategy. I work with Ford Cannon, San Juan West, Barataria, San Juan West, and the same strategy. We had to go down all these housing developments and tell them, you know what? We know you are paying them, but please support us. Here, take this, take that, organize football and cricket matches, and keep them occupied. We know you're not going to vote us in any way, but just don't go and vote as well. And that was the same strategy that occurred this time around. And that is why people, in addition to a lot of other things, disenchantment with the Prime Minister and the selection of Stuart Young and all these things playing, as well as the licks they get in Tobago. All these things send a message. So people became a lot more conscious. Why we should, give PNM a rest these wrongs. But now that we have a black lady like us, like Penny, who is willing to resuscitate the party, all you have to do is come home. We did not listen to you the last time around, but we're building it up back. Now we're going to listen to you all more attentively and give you, your right views and so on. If these people only go back there, UNC is no longer. And we have to always look at the fact that is only about 25,000 new PNM voters we were able to attract. That gave us these 7 seats extra. So, let's not fool ourselves and say, oh, UNC win convincingly. Hey, that convincingly could just flip in the next 5 years. If they don't have that NATEX start to work from now, to do whatever strategy they have to implement to make sure that at least in the 7 marginal counties, you start to work and give them literally more what they want and so on to keep them quiet.
Yeah, Sumant, if I could comment a bit.
Sure.
I disagree. I don't disagree with you at all. In fact, I agree with your comment. And because the PNM supporters stayed away because they were so disenchanted with Rowley, in my view, and Stuart Young. So that having been done, I think UNC we got the benefit of it. So the question now is, no one has analyzed why we lost the election in 2015. No one.
Correct.
And we are scared. We are scared to put it on the table. But PNM was so strong in pasting the corruption charge on UNC, and that is what undermined UNC in the 2015. whether those corruption charges was partial or totally wrong or totally right. So those things we have to have some introspection now. But I'm sure the Prime Minister has learned her lesson to be, we have to be squeaky clean over the next 5 years. Squeaky clean. Anyone who's suspected of what you call corruption has to be dealt with. Has to be dealt with because that will be an Achilles heel for the UNC going forward the next 4 and 3/4 years. So we have to be very careful there. There's no question that under Mr. Bastev Pandey as well as Kamla Prasad Bisesa, that UNC did very well in taking care of investments, taking care of the basic needs of the citizens of Trinidad, all the citizens, in
Hmm.
terms of schools, in terms of hospitals, in terms of roads,
and
everything that
and, and,
you.
and, they, and they went as far they went the PNM tried very hard and did a very good job in denying that fact and saying that never happened. A lot
Yeah,
of the things that was done, they did a very good job of manipulating how things was, even though the things were physical structure, they were saying it didn't exist.
yeah,
But
Gary,
that is true.
the
That is true.
105 schools, the 105 schools. You see,
It was
Yeah,
amazing.
these things
106.
mean nothing to their supporters. These 105 schools, the amount of police stations, the hospitals, these things mean nothing for the PNM supporters. But they
I
will
think, yeah.
appeal to
So,
them.
Sumant, I think we are missing a major constituent in Trinidad, and that constituent is, I would call it, the middle ground. It still exists. They're sitting on the fence now.
Mm.
To the core supporters, it means nothing because they will listen to the leaders and believe whatever the leaders say. But there's a core constituents. I call them mushrooms that they come about during election time, and after that they lose everything and they go back into hiding. But that's the ONR, the COP, the NAR to some extent. So that core supporters, they listen. They listen. Let me assure you, from my estimate, they listen and they want to see Trinidad progress. Now they feel they are better than others with regards to corruption and so on. But when they get into power, they do the same. But that is not the issue. It is what causes them to vote. They feel they're superior than us. They are,
Correct.
according to Mr. Pandey, they are knife and fork
Yeah.
Indians, as he said. But I
Yeah.
think they have graduated to SUV status. Huh? No
Yeah.
more, no more knife and fork, right? So
Yeah.
we have to be mindful of that constituent. And I feel this is where I feel that the strategy to go forward for the UNC is to ensure that there's not an iota of corruption, not an iota. So she has to be very strict with all managing ministers and ministries is managing warlords. So as soon as they get comfortable in their position, they go on their own. So she has to keep a rein on that. So once there is no corruption, once there is best use of our limited resources, once there are string of things that will address the needs, bread and butter issues for the common person in Trinidad, I think she's well ahead in terms of UNC getting re-elected for the next after the next 5 years at the next election. But it's a very challenging period that we're going through. What the PNM did was that they did all kinds of things to bankrupt the treasury. They said they're not going to devalue the dollar. They're not going to this, despite all kinds of advice from the IMF, World Bank, and serious economists. So they're holding on to that. So, and the Prime Minister promised to no devaluation under her watch. So therefore, she has two major levers at her disposal. One is duties, that is the taxes and tariffs. That's one. And a second thing that is available to her is a negative list. So those are the two things that are available to her. If she uses it wisely, she will be able to address the bread and butter issues. So, so I think there are things that can be done. And I agree with Dr. Maraj that at the end of the day, we have to manage a country in the best way possible with our diminishing resources. It's not increasing. And let us not take the easy way out and borrow ourselves to death. Because if we are borrowing money to pay interest, that's a sign of what they term, I think, phantom or phantom uh, company or phantom government. If you have to borrow money to pay interest, we are in trouble. So we have to be very mindful of that. I hope I remind the government again, calculate, this is your last chance to calculate the deficit and let the country knows what it is. Because if you accept the miscalculation of the deficit now, then you have agreed going forward to hide that basic information from the country.
Well, I agree with you 100%, Wade, but I don't trust the public servants who are calculating and doing these figures for the minister. Bottom line.
Right. So therefore, that is where the minister comes in with advisors to say, look, do it right this time. Otherwise, you can't keep having a deficit uh, on the stated deficit and coming every year for supplemental increase. That's what's happening. Supplement every year.
Yeah.
I could guarantee you that for next year there will be supplemental increase if they
Big
don't
time.
address it now.
And
Big
we
time.
can't allow the PNM Coastal Rochers to get away with raiding the treasury and not do anything to them at all. You just grand charge and old talk, and they have to be dealt with severely. I want their assets seized and the money retrieved. That is what I want.
Well, I like to see that myself too, Gary, but that's a difficult road to get into because we don't have the legislation to
Well,
back that.
we could get there. We could get there. We could get there. But
Yeah, because
remember, a lot of us are anxious to get what's needed to be done, but we at the same time we may not understand the level of what they're dealing with. Sumant, you might have a little idea because you've been there and you saw a little bit of it. But this wrongs here, I think we are dealing with much more, chaos, and we have a lot of restructuring to do now. We have to create a revenue stream. We have to investigate all these situations. Yeah, we have to restructure a lot of things. So, at least I would say in the next couple of months, it's going to take taking some work. And we've seen our Minister of Social Development and Family Services, the Minister of the People, is working even on the weekends, and she's working very hard and she has resolved these pension issues and those who waiting for grants and stuff like that. We've seen our Minister of Community Development, we've seen working non-stop overtime. So they are putting on a lot of work and a lot of it is not being publicized, but they are working heavily behind the scenes, which I know of. So there is a lot being done, and we're going to get to the political part of things. But our team, last time we spoke with Arjun here was to get in touch with Peter Kanhai, so those of us can work with the party while the government is trying to sort out these issues. They do have a lot of work, and it's clearly understood that they are going up a lot of people who will work against them. So we have a lot of restructuring to do. But the legislation definitely. I mean, I'm very impressed with Saddam Hussein and the work that he's putting down there. As a young man, a long attorney, he's brilliant, and he's working non-stop. That I know
so
for one. So the
um
legislation
so
I know will come. But we have to
yeah.
reiterate it here to kind of remind them because they are human, and they get caught up in a lot of things. So we have to stay here, keep on firing and addressing the issues.
Yeah. Dr. Maharaj, you want
So
to listen?
yeah, so you see how the Attorney General is flashing a wrongdoing card in front of everybody and say, we're going to get for you. I'm going to come for you. I'll be coming for you. I'll be doing this to you. No, I noticed that Ned referred to the wrongdoing of the UNC people. They don't have to do any wrongdoing. The machinery against it will create a fictitious wrongdoing. and that the public is going to buy if you do not counter it. Like the example I gave is this PRO who came out and drive them. In the end, he's going to win that battle. That battle with the so-called independent people and the PRO of the UNC. That is what Suman is referring to just now. And also, I've
Mhm.
said this many times. What is the role of the party in from election to election? They have a lot of work to do. So we talked about that previously, but I want to just mention also that you don't have to really do anything wrong, but the technocrats backed by the old regime will show that they're doing something wrong when the truth and the fact you are clean as a whistle. You have to answer them like how that attorney general is. Whether the attorney general have anything in the books that I hope they seize the books. If they do and they have those books already seized and hidden away because they're going to disappear, that attorney general is threatening them. And that is taking effect, whether you have evidence or not. That is the kind of thing I'm talking about. That is where the politics is going to win over. It has to be seem to be, not in reality, but not de jure, not even de facto, but seemingly. So,
Mhm.
so and one more, just one more quick thing because I know I take a lot of your time already. Just one more thing on the phantom loan that the Fed Ned referred to. You see what the PLM did? They moved the capital off the books. So they only service the loan. So they move the principal portion of the books, and Kamla was saying, bring it back on the books because the loan that you're owing, that loan to GDP is much higher than you are telling us it is. So bring back the principal into the books so we can see the true GDP versus the debt, yeah, and foreign exchange debt. That kind of gimmick, just you could do that, because once you have asset to show for the principal portion, that principal shall negate itself. It's only the servicing of the loan is important, and that is what the PNB was doing. They were doing that. So I think you know what I'm talking about. In case you want to ask me anything more on that, but I think you get my drift. That phantom loan they're referring to, you can move the principal off the books because, or if it is matched against assets, but if it's used for consumption, there's no assets. So therefore, that is a null and void point. You have to bring it on the books because the only way you can keep that off the books if you have assets to show for it. And since most of these loans they were borrowing, they were using for current expenditure, they had no assets to show for it. And I think that's what the prime minister was calling them out on. I didn't hear her mention that a second time around, but that is an issue. I think, Ned, I think that is what you're trying to talk about a while ago, Ned. So good, interesting, very interesting. But I'm telling you, that you have to win them in the public opinion court of public opinion. That is where you'll win them. Whether the UNC people will keep the semblance of a lie, once the population believes it, that will be a worse enemy. So, like the example I'm giving again is that boy, that PRO boy who came out on attack. Some people may not like it. They might find maybe the PM might find he went too far, but in the end, he will win. Go ahead. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, so you need to be in their face all the time, constantly, but you don't have that mechanism at this point in time. One person, that Sunday, Sunday gone is when they had their press conference. But doing it on a Sunday or every 2 weeks is not in your face. You need to be in some media or something. I have the call coming through. Go ahead. Can someone take over? I have a call coming through.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead, Ned. Ned.
Yeah, well, I'll butt in. Yeah, what I'm saying is there are lots of low hanging fruits by way of legislation, and I'm saying that if we can list out around 10 of those, so every month we introduce one for a bill for discussion, and I think once that is geared towards protection and service to the common man, the common person, I think that is going to strengthen the credibility of the government. That's one.
Mm.
So we need to do that. In addition to what Gary was saying, investigate investigation into high profile items. One is the suspension or prevention of citizens coming back during the COVID. I think that's a major issue. Somebody has to account for it. Somebody has to account for it, including the ambassadors in the different countries. I think Gary made that point, which is very, very valid.
They have to show me what they did, you know. They
Right.
not
So,
talk. They have to show me what they did because I have a long trail of communication between these people across the country.
right. So, Gary, that is one issue that requires immediate. Second issue is government's management of the COVID itself, because we were at one point we were the worst in the world, over 400 deaths. My son is a doctor. He has done a lot of human work in terms of alerting the country, etc., with regards to the management of COVID and the vaccination. In fact, he and his team, they put together an advertisement calling back for the cancellation of the awards given to all these people. So they are very concerned persons in Trinidad who are very nationalistic and conscious, socially conscious. So we need to harvest that, but that needs to be investigated. The other point, we have to investigate the persons who died in the pipes. That has to be properly ventilated, and somebody has to account for it. Somebody has to take responsibility. So I think what Gary is saying, and Dr. Maharaj, you are right. Sometimes you go after these guys like Malcolm, and well, he's passed away. They don't have any money, but they were cause of great financial harm to Petrotrin and the country. They have to account for it. If they don't have money, declare bankruptcy, and that's it. Whether the ministers
They,
or
they, they,
prime
they
minister.
crippled a lot of people business, and then these people were forced to pay back taxes and all the different, expenses during that COVID, the management of the COVID, and also that they their friends and associates benefit from, how to say, providing accommodations and stuff like that with the hotel servicing these, the people while they're in the stay, providing the goods and services. So we have to see who benefited from that. We have to know how much money was spent for that. Who was the beneficiaries of the contracts? I mean, things were done, far as I see, to put money in certain people's pockets. It was not done to secure our citizens. It was not done to secure our country. You don't abandon your citizens outside the country. Your citizens does not become person non grata outside because they travel overseas. You have a responsibility. And I know for a fact that our consulate general, offices and their employees turn their backs on our people. They'll shut the doors, they didn't answer the phone. I mean, a lot of citizens suffered. So I am, based on my personal experience, I am not letting that go easy at all.
Right. So I
And
think
Gary,
I
and
think
Gary,
some
I
of
would Gary,
so Gary,
hold
some
on.
of
And
these
Gary,
investigations
sorry.
has to start to take place. Has to start now. You don't delay it. The longer you
Right.
delay it, the harder it becomes. And if you look at India recently with India and the Iran Israel war, did you notice that India sent not only to extract their own people, but they took out people from Nepal, and Nepal has been behaving very badly to India, supporting China and so on. Still, India said, "Come on, Nepalis, jump on the plane." Sri Lanka, who also were behaving badly, siding with China, India overlooked it and brought them home. So how come we in Trinidad could not see about our own person and giving the vice president of Venezuela a free pass to come into the airport? They have to account for that. Now, as far as I know, and Sumant and Dr. Maharaj, perhaps you all are more experienced. So long as a prime minister having a meeting with somebody, there ought to be the minuted,
Yeah.
not a private meeting over a
Everything
club.
has to be documented, to my
So,
understanding.
Yeah.
so the let the prime minister go out and seek where are the minutes of these minutes of these meetings. Where are the minutes? So, if there are no minutes, that is one major indiscretion as far as I could see. So, with
No,
regards to
the changing of the currency note was a scheme by the PNM to to put some people out in distress with them because they couldn't exchange their money and the laws that they implemented there. So let me tell you something. That's how Faris could have constructed I want to say a small majority for his for to get to pass his laws, and we have a special majority here right now. We have to how to say storm the parliament with these things that that we are trying to pass and force these legislation in their face whether they like it or not. We in charge now.
You see, I remember when Faris passed an amendment to a law which required in the first place
With a simple
the
majority, right?
majority, right? A
Yeah,
majority pass, right?
yeah.
And he used a minority now to pass the amendment. Let me ask, this was the strangest thing in my books. And now, whilst the Speaker of the House allowed it and they passed the amendment, in my view, that should have been taken to the ordinary courts for adjudication because I cannot see a law that requires the constitution which required a majority to
A
pass.
special majority. Yeah.
Oh, special majority. How could you make an amendment with a simple majority? Please explain that to me. And that, I think we erred in not taking that to the normal courts. The normal courts.
Yeah.
Now, recently, I don't know if you all have been following, that the courts in England ruled against Starmer, telling him he is acting outside his mandate by trying to renegotiate a Brexit. I don't know if you all recall that.
Yeah.
No, but we listening to you. Go ahead.
Right. But what the court said, they had to do an impact analysis. You have to present an impact, a justification for what suggestions you're doing. Similarly, with Petrotrin, they must present a thorough paper justifying their decision. Must, as far as I concern, as far as I'm concerned, and this is where I'd love to convince the government to take this up as a serious matter, quite apart from reopening the refinery and so on. That's a different matter. But on what basis it was closed and where is the impact analysis,
I don't know.
financial impact analysis, social impact analysis, and just imagine, I think it would have made a lot of persons crazy. So you have the impact analysis. We want to see where it is and whether it justified the decision you took, whether it justified. As far as I could see, that
But
was
you
a,
know, where I could answer that,
tell me.
we have none.
Well, no, but our duty is to ask. Government duty is to ask.
Agreed. I answered none.
No, no,
Because
no. Let them put in writing none.
right. So what? Nothing.
So what?
God, you have the committee, get the committee to get this thing afloat and get it off the ground and let's go on. Let's move on. Because, and like
No,
I
but
said, if
I think
anybody
I think I think
and yeah,
I'm not saying not to get it and go on.
yes. No,
Not to
no,
get
no,
it
I know
and
what you
go
say.
on.
I know.
But
I heard you.
let them answer. No, but we don't have to set up a, let's say, a commission of inquiry. We just get a legal opinion. What are the infractions that these persons who was in charge of the process, what were the infractions, and send them individual letters, and that's it. Get
Yep.
a
Right.
junior
So
lawyer to write it.
if there are malfeasance, the
Hmm.
population already gave a pronouncement on their behavior. They throw them out of office.
Well,
Let's get the damn thing forward. Let's go. If
I
there's
I I have
malfeasance,
a little different opinion on that. I'll tell you why.
okay.
When Mr. Pandey came into power, when he came
Hmm.
into power, he adopted that attitude. Look, whatever passed, passed, let it go. When
Hmm.
PNM came into power, that was
Yes.
not the attitude.
No.
Hmm.
They started to prosecute all the UNC people.
Piaco Airport.
Am I
Right,
right or wrong?
Yeah, correct.
right. But here's the difference, Ned.
Tell
Ben,
me,
um,
tell me,
here's the difference.
tell me.
What the PNM could get away with, you will not be able to. The
Well,
system is still loaded against you. You have to handle this thing carefully, show them your rise above the fray, and let it fall where it may, but
let
don't
Mr.
lose
Maharaj,
sight of what is
Dr. Maharaj,
important.
let's
Yeah.
agree to disagree for the time being, right? I
That's
might
believe
fine.
change my I
that,
might change my mind later
That's
on,
fine.
but for now,
yeah,
no. I wouldn't let it pass. You know why? Because it has cost this country
correct.
billions of dollars. It was not a case of zero financial impact. Not a case.
Yeah.
You know how many Petrotrin employees in psychological distress at this point in time? Psychological distress. Do you know when they closed off? And that's why the union didn't make a fuss at all, because they were given severance payment as well as the normal uh, payment. So when they look back now and say, okay, Mr. Roger, how many years you working at Petrotrin? We'll give you a few $1 million. And that is why they never protested. They were bought out in the process. Now, who you think pay for that? Is it normal taxpayers paid for that? Normal taxpayers. So they've shut down the plant. How much is it going to cost us now? Over a billion, probably a billion US dollars. That's the number they putting around. So I'm
Yeah,
saying the financial and social impact was too enormous for somebody at the back of an envelope whilst you're closing your fridge. Say shut down Petrotrin. Who cares? They acted way beyond their authority. That's the point I'm making. So
Right. Good.
why?
I know. And I would only say that
Mhm.
my point then is that only if this would help us to win the next election and we could make mileage out of it, I say go on, let's do it.
I am seeing it as a big help. Because if you wipe out these people for their wrongdoings, then you might have UNC and another party for the next election. In other
Good.
words, in
Yeah.
my view, don't let up once there are opportunities to deal with the malfunctioning of PNM.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
my
my
view is
view. But
along the same
let's
line too.
agree to disagree for now.
Yeah.
And I,
What I'm saying, yeah. So what I'm saying really is if there's wrongdoing, I'm not in favor of that. But what I'm saying is that if we're going after anything, let's make it sure that this is going to help us the next time around, which is in 5 years' time.
right. So look at another point that the PNM has given their supporters, the ministers, families, and so on. Like this guy, he's saying it is not the property is his wife. Are we falling for that? Are we falling for that? So we're renting a building from his wife for years, not occupied, not occupied. And so we need to know how that decision was made. Did they follow the proper procedures? Did they look at other building? Why was that building necessary? What is the stock of building government has? Has anybody at one point, my brother was in the Ministry of Finance and he
yeah,
was in charge of properties. And let me tell you, he didn't have an easy time. The kind of lobbies people used to make. Harinath, I don't know if
yeah.
Suman you probably
I
know.
know him very well. Yeah,
Oh, look at that. My eldest brother, he's passed now. But he was strict as a needle, zero corruption, right?
yeah.
So there are procedures involved with regard to rental of properties by government. Have they done? Have they done a stock of properties that we have? We meeting the government to see which one is unoccupied. Why are we renting more when we have that we could fix and so on? So I think the level of corruption in that process is enormous. Many of the prime minister already shown that many of these properties were rented without a contract. Without a contract, who is responsible? Who who was responsible for it? We have to bring them to justice. And I feel very strongly like Gary, on these matters. We'll huddle them all in one court and let them answer.
Mhm.
Let them answer.
Yeah.
Pay
Let
back
me
the money.
Yeah.
Pay back
let
the
me add
money.
let me add something, Bill, that you may not be aware of. That
Tell me.
the Solicitor General
Yeah.
is one who recommends that this property is valued at so and so. This is the amount you should pay for it. Right? That's
Yeah.
one thing. But this is here the critical point. You know that most of these buildings, when they are rented, it's a shell.
Yes.
You have to go out and build now these offices, and the build out costs millions and millions more
Hmm.
to outfit a building. partitioning equipment. Sometimes you have to do electricals and so on.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
You basically renting a shell, and now when you do the build, that is a couple $1 million well.
But
And
Suman,
now
isn't the most of these buildings unoccupied and they just government paying rent for some of these buildings here?
somebody's yes, somebody. But listen, that when you done run your internet lines and everything else, and the government changes, what happens? The
Yeah, but
owner gets all these
we
assets
have to
free.
present this information, in the public eye and repeat it as much as possible so they can understand why those who are suffering, why they are suffering. Because this is what happened to your money in the treasury. The PNM will go in parliament and try to spin this around and turn this against UNC. As much as they possible, they will play any card they can. You know.
They call it FF&E, fixtures, furnishings, and equipment.
Hmm. Hmm.
All of those expenses, there's chairs and desks, and oh my God, you name it. I went through that process already. And when I see the rent is $3 million a year, but you have to fork out $12 million in
Hmm.
FF&E, then you begin to see, well, wait now, and government changes after 5 years. That guy who owns the building has gotten all his $12 million at no cost. He didn't pay nothing to get that $12 million. So he ends up with that as an asset now. So he can rent that building now, a fully furnished and equipped building. And he has not spent 1 cent to do that FF&E.
But Sumant, if the contract, if if the contract was not properly consummated,
And
um,
all of these contracts will not be, you can see it they don't even have the names of some of the lessors in it.
well,
Don't
right.
have,
So government has legal recourse. Government has legal recourse, and that's all I'm saying. We don't have to make a song and dance about it until we get proper legal advice and to say how can we recover the funds, because we are short of funds and we need to know. We don't just want to prosecute a person for prosecution's sake, as Dr.
Exactly.
Maraj suggested, but at the same time, if you can get back money, we should
Well,
go after
we
it.
have to. I mean, we have to follow the money. We have to follow the trail, and and hold people accountable. I mean, right off the bat, they discovered so much corruption within these borough corporations. Look what happened in Caribbean Airlines. You're floating something there that does not exist.
Hmm.
And that cannot go lightly. Because, like you said, Wade, that when they came in and they what they did to the UNC and Mr. Pandey people, and they tried to spin this corruption, even though Mr. Pandey built the best airport, the PNM was for 25 years there, they put the best airport, he run the best economy in the country. Within 6 months, the economy was revamped, the safety and the citizens was improved drastically, and all that was come for nothing because they spin everything possible they can that UNC doing this and the only honest Indian is Rohan Sinanan,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And he's in the
yes,
PNM.
yes,
That's the only honest Indian. But I'm
yes.
waiting to see the files on the only honest Indian, right? That's it. That's
Well,
in the PNM.
I think they're trying to raise money to make a statue for Sinanand, you know.
yeah,
So you all are welcome to contribute. The only honest Indian.
yeah,
Listen to me.
yeah, yeah.
I want to
Well,
reiterate this. Hang 'em high. Hang 'em high. You know.
I will
Uh,
I will love to see that happen.
Yeah,
I will love to see that happen.
but
But in
listen
the
to me.
meantime, I
We the supporters of this government have to raise hell until it is done.
yes,
yeah,
but we don't want to consume all our time and try. Remember, everything is broken, and every single aspect, every single ministry, every single state agent, everything is broken now. Every single thing, and by the time you fix all these things, 5 years have gone. So what Dr. Maharaj is saying is true to an extent. If
Yeah,
you
well, you fix the
spend all
leadership
your
of it. You fix the administrator. You can't fix You can't remove every corrupted person there, but you fix the leadership part of it, the administrative part of it. As long as you fix that, then you would delegate. And if they can't follow the procedure, then they fire themselves.
So
You
remember what I was saying there is either you do that, Gary, what you're saying, or you run a parallel system
But
of
Suman,
implementers.
Well, a
Suman,
parallel system as much as possible. What I'm saying to you,
no,
you
no,
will
no.
have to do what is necessary. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you make that transition with the administration. You can't fire every time they can hurry. But we want to change how things are managed and how it operates, right? So we want efficiency. We are not creating a ministry of efficiency. We are creating a government of efficiency,
Now
right?
But
remember, Gary, what Harry Paul told us the last day. You know, each minister has permission to employ 5 persons on his own. He's a
Right. So
personal
that
advisor and
let's
all these things.
sing it here until they get the picture and they do it.
But you see what? The permanent secretaries are telling the ministers no. They need to apply to the permanent secretary through the regular HR system.
You say it on every program here. You repeat it, and when I get Alton back here, I wanted to reiterate that too.
Because let me tell you, the permanent secretary is the one who has a strong hand on all these ministers. They cannot implement no project without a PS approval. Yet they did everything. They crossed even their boundaries. $1 million and more has to be, a minister can approve up to $1 million. Anything
But let me
after
tell
that.
you something else too. Let me add something else. As far as I'm concerned, them PS in that ministry better give damn good accounting for where the money spent.
So they have to go. All of them have to go because they breached the rules. They breached the accounting rules, and the permanent secretary is the head of the accounting unit in any ministry. So PS, assistant PS, AO5, AO4, administrative officer, is a whole chain of command coming up. So anytime a project comes on, Gary, is the AO2 has to say, okay, I think it's a good project. He sends it to the AO4. Okay, yes, onward transmission to the AO5. Onward transmission to the deputy PS. Yes, we approve the project. And then the PS signs off. But in the case of the people partnership, all the UNC now, they stall the process on the way. On that chain is broken. They send it back, hey, cross this T and dot that I for me, and then send it back. So the delay process takes month, 2 months, 3 months, and it has to go through all the cycle again till it reaches the PS on top. And in her opinion or his opinion, this is not a viable project. That's it.
Dr.
So
Rambo, what are you doing there? Let's hear some of your views.
I went through these
Yeah,
things
hello.
from
Hello.
86 to now. Yeah,
Go ahead,
Dr.
Dr.
Hi,
Rambo.
hi guys.
yeah, hi. Hello.
I am.
Hi, Dot.
I'm listening. I'm listening to you guys. So sorry. I just
Mhm.
had a few things. No. I'm sure. In my opinion, it has to be. It has to be some of both. And I do agree that we need to kind of look at the audits that will make a difference, especially to win the other 5 years, because as Samantha and we have always been saying, the PNM is embedded in our public service. They're embedded in our some of our big businesses, and they actually run the country even if we are in power. It
Correct.
happened in UNC. It happened.
Yes.
It happened. It's happening even now. And it happened in all our previous governments. Whenever another government took power, NAR, UNC it was, and People's Partnership. I mean, I lived it in ODPM. I saw it. I
Mhm.
witnessed it. As a CEO of ODPM under the
Mhm.
People's Partnership. I was subject to that PNM power, where they could actually do things and have the PSs agree to do things like even have no interviews and appoint people in positions, without interview. But yet, when
I think we lose
when
Dr. Rambo
when we
before.
go,
Yeah. Oh, you got it.
when we go in power, they tell us, well, we have to follow every single thing. We have to dot the i's and cross the t's,
Yeah,
and
yeah, them
you
country.
know
Yeah,
this
right.
this is so terrible. So in my opinion, for example, the COVID. Well, I mean, I am a physician. I did some work with CAFA, during the COVID, and we some of our networking that we were doing with some of my colleagues from the CDC as well as from WHO, and some of the professors from Oxford and all of these persons whom I had the opportunity to meet when we were doing work in Geneva, prior to the development of what we call the Sendai strategy, which is the basic, the strategic plan for disaster risk reduction, which guides all member states of United Nations. And in it was we clearly forecasted that we were going to have a pandemic. You know, so no, I feel that we have to concentrate on winning the other 5 years. I think that we're going to be losing 1 year this year. When I mean, I don't know if they're still doing assessment of all ministries, but I know now they should be doing a gap analysis. You know, and I still feel that we should balance our scorecards. We should really identify some of the criminal acts that were done. I think we should take action once there's a criminal act. Once a crime has been committed, people should do the time. At least we should go through the process. But I do agree that we can't waste time and money, right, in a lot of legal fees. And these guys make a lot of money. I mean, when you look at the amount of money we have spent in legal fees over the last 10 to 20 years on both sides of the government, in UNC People's Partnership, and I mean, much money has been spent on legal fees. I mean, these guys are rich, just by collecting $1 million, $10 million for signing documents and doing research. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know why doctors can't get as much money for saving people's lives. I mean, sometimes I'm so vexed that I didn't go and do law. You know, so no, I do agree. I do agree. And one of the things that I mean, I'm noticing even now, and I noticed when we were in People's Partnership. I even noticed it when we were in UNC, because I consider myself a public official. I was head of casualty during the UNC government. I was in the party for the Pandy. I had a Pandy party card, and I remember when Weedmark had suggested that all PNM, sorry, all UNC party members, once they have a party card and they could show that they were a party member, that they will go to offices of some of the doctors, and the doctors will see them and give them almost a 40% off discount on their fees and whatever it is. And I was one of the doctors that participated in that. One of the things that caused the UNC to lose, and never did an audit, they never did a forensic audit of why they lost the two elections gone.
Correct.
And one of the reasons is that they tend to neglect their people, right? What they do is they may help the NATEX and some of the close friends and families of NATEX members, but the general party support, right, is a problem. And I
Yes.
mean, we are doctors in offices. I mean, today I had a patient who came into my office. He's a staunch supporter of the UNC, and he's starting to grumble already about some of the, words that have been said by one particular politician who apparently it seems to be the prime minister. So he is. I'm just saying. I don't know if it is true, and I don't really. I'm not making any statements about it. What I'm saying is that they have to be very careful, that they have to start doing damage control and start to engage their people, the people who voted for them, not necessarily the NATEX members and their friends and family. And if they don't do that, and if they walk up aloof with egos that, that they pass their people straight in malls, and they pass their people straight in engagements and social events, the people are going to start getting vexed. And that was one of the reasons, just like how PNM got vexed and they didn't go out to vote, and PNM actually lost the election. In my opinion, UNC didn't win the election. PNM lost the election.
Correct.
So I think that we have to be very careful. We have to have a certain part of our scorecard, right? The UNC membership, and especially we're talking a lot about government, right now, but we're not talking about the UNC party. And I think that that is something that we have to get stronger. Don't underestimate the PNM. The PNM is an institution, right? They rebound. They had a cause, but remember, in 5 years' time, they are going to change. And somebody said that this evening. We have to be very careful. They are institution. UNC comes together when we have elections, but unless we don't institutionalize the party and make the party people oriented, that just like Weedmark had done under Pandey and said, okay, all UNC doctors, give all UNC members who have a party card 40% discount. And if you agree to it, put up a sign. These are the kind of things that I'm talking about. We have people who supported the party, have cinemas. They have these big cinemas, all over the country. They should be giving incentives to UNC party members with cards. If we can't give them money and we can't give them jobs, give them something. And I think this is where we fell down. All right. So I am hoping. I mean, I really don't care if they don't give me anything, because for 10 years I suffered. The point is, I can suffer again until I die. The problem is that there are people out there who need some sort of respect. They need some sort of pat on the shoulders. Hey, how are you? You don't pass them straight. You answer your phone when they get to you, or you set up somebody to answer your phone or your WhatsApp when they try to get to you. These are the kind of things that I think we have to focus on a lot if we are to win the next 5 years. Because that is, to me, the aim. We have won already. Don't waste too much time in saying, well, PNM did this and PNM did this and PNM did that and they did this and they gave their friend this and they gave their auntie this and they sell burgers and fries for using government money. Yeah, all of that is fine. Do what you have to do. But, we need to move on and start doing things, start concentrating on the next 5 years and start doing things for that. That's just my piece tonight.
Yeah, Doc, I totally agree with you. The last conversation we had with Arjun here was that you guys, Arjun's going to try to reach Peter Kanai, and we could sort that out. So that's still something that we have to get done. So while the government ministers and MPs are focusing on governing, some of us can work
Yes.
on that
Yes.
and
I think
present
that is
that
important.
idea.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
important. I mean,
Yeah.
we have said it a few times here, and I think we
Yeah.
should act on it.
Yeah.
So let's see if within the next couple of days if we can do that.
Please.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I will try my best. I will call the party headquarters myself.
Yeah. Let us do
Um,
that. I
you
don't
know,
mind going in and having a seat with them and getting back involved, because I mean, let's face it, for the past 4 years, I just left. I just didn't get involved in the party, because really and truly, I was pleasantly surprised, in the last 4 months to see the change on the ground. The groundswell started to change, and I felt good about it.
well,
So
that
I
that
think that
that
that was really a beautiful change, a beautiful thing that we experienced over the last 4 months. What I really want to be more beautiful is to maintain that so that we can go. So please, Gary, if you can, let us work on
well,
the party. Yes. Yeah.
I will make the effort,
Yeah.
and I would call directly, and because I really don't know Peter Kanhai, and I mean I mostly dealt
Well, you
with
see, this is it. I know Peter.
yeah,
I mean, we worked with Peter. I worked with
yeah. So
Peter
so
when we did the
I'm
children's
going to reach
Christmas treat. So he
right.
knows me very
Yeah.
well, and I mean, I could probably try and call him myself. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you could do that and you have the number, then call him.
Yeah, I have
And
Peter's number. I'll try and call him. The thing is, I've been WhatsApping these guys and nobody's answering me, so I'm not
yeah,
sure
Well,
what's
I have.
happening.
this
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I will call. I will call the party headquarters. In fact,
Yeah.
you feel free to call. I'm saying this publicly. Feel free to call the party headquarters also, and say you are part of the UNC USA advisory team.
Yeah.
And I mean, you are well. Not to say you're a not known guy. I mean, you're well established person in a very high position there, and make that call. And I myself will make a call. You get a hold of Peter, then just add him to me on the conversation on WhatsApp.
Sure.
Most
Well,
because
we could definitely do that. Let's try, because as I said,
so
I mean,
let's get that done this
I
week.
listened
This
tonight,
week.
and I think that is even needed more, because a lot of what we are saying here is something that, I mean, as an advisory team, I'm not sure who's going to be listening. If they are, it's fine. It's beautiful. That's great. The thing about it, though, is we are speaking about. I mean, the conversation here today is whether or not we should treat the PNM as how they treated us, and I think we should.
Well, listen to me.
Also, yeah,
I for one intend to destroy the PNM.
yes, yes,
I don't want to see the PNM return. I don't want to see
yeah.
PNM return in government ever in the country.
And that's the second point. I also feel that we should concentrate now on the people who voted for us, not
Yeah,
just the NATEX members and
yeah,
their family and friends, but the people who voted for us. And that is the point I'm making. And I agree
yeah.
here with Mr. Sipasad in the sense that, and also Mr. Marat, in the sense that I think there herein lies where the key to winning the other 5 years is don't go down. We never did a forensic audit of why we lost the last two elections. But one of the reasons why we lost the last two elections was we forgot our people, right? And therefore we have to start.
Well,
We have to
I am
stop
in
that.
touch with a lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah,
who are disenchanted, who've been in
yeah,
disenchanted. I mean,
yeah,
I was also involved in how things of this election turned out by
yeah,
my little common sense ideas and advice.
yeah,
And so, I mean, we all play, a lot of us play the role of shaping how this election turned out to be, and the magnitude of the amount of votes and seats that we won. You know,
yeah,
we won more than people thought we could have because certain things we did certain things.
yeah,
But as you know, I don't have to repeat that, but you know I'm a man of action,
yeah,
and I want to get what we said here done. So
yeah,
if tomorrow we
yeah,
can do this conversation, you know, just
yeah.
merge me on the call, and if you get through to Peter before me,
I would
and
definitely try. Yeah. In fact,
yeah,
I remember, and I want you guys to remember this. I remember sitting down with the boss in my kitchen when she lost the previous election, not the last one. And she said she will never, never she will never forget her people again. She would not do it again. So I think we need to remind Peter and them that this
well,
is what she said, and let us sit down and go forward. I agree. Thanks very much. We'll talk.
I mean,
Yeah.
being a prime minister of a country, you have a lot on the plate, and I mean,
Yeah.
I know some things happened, but it wasn't her intention. I
Yes.
mean, she was
Correct.
consumed, and
She was
you know, with what,
always sorry about that, and I think she's a great lady, and I think that there are
yeah,
people around her who might be kind of sometimes pushing her in a different direction, but I think
yeah.
that we could reach out to her through Peter. Peter knows her. Peter is very close to her, and I'm not sure if they're going to be doing the children's Christmas treat for the Christmas again. I think that was an event that she loves very dearly, that she does in Siparia. I feel she's going to do it if I know her well. And Peter was one of the persons who were very much involved with that. Peter and Zakur and all of these people. We were
Well,
all together doing this thing. Yes.
you know the boss lady hard, by you
Yeah.
know, in the sense that a lot of us do.
Yeah.
We also know the fact that there are people who are wrong her who barricade her for
Yeah.
their own
Yeah.
interests, and we have a different interest. And but you know, like I said,
Yeah.
again, that's not happening with me. I intend to raise hell.
Yeah.
You know, and
Good.
we have a better platform here. I intend to address the issues. I intend to see that our people taken care of. I intend to see our activists encouraged and supported for their hard work. And our hard working activists has to come first before every Tom, Dick, and Harry who push in an angle to get their son and their daughter a job and who did nothing for the party
Wow.
or a contract. You know, I mean, up to now, I ain't asked for nothing for myself, to tell the truth, right? And
Yes.
and that is not my objective. You know, I mean, the thing about it here is I want things fixed. I want to see the country performing, where administration of the government performing and the level of service increase. I also want to see that the parties secure themselves into holding government because that is absolutely essential if we're going to accomplish the things. We all understand that here. You guys have been more involved with me than that. I know I am just, you know, I have no tolerance for us losing another election. I do not intend to pacify the PNM. I do not intend to please the PNM. I don't want to see that happening. This, you know, there's no compromise here. This is a search and destroy mission. For as I am concerned, that's the kind of guy I am. I have seen enough done by the PNM to our people, and I have no mercy or care for the PNM. I seen a familiar name here. Is that Ronald Phillip, as in former Senator Ronald Phillip here? Ronald, how you doing, man? Yes, so let me just say greetings to Lindsay Hero. I saw Monica Ramke soon. Thank you, Monica, for joining us here. Nicholas Fleming, welcome. If you guys have any suggestion, anything, and listen, this platform is open to you to give your voice. There's things happening in your community that needs to be addressed. Please let us know. We intend to address the issues. We intend to incorporate everybody and work together. We encouraging unity and inclusiveness definitely here. This is not about getting a contract and bringing your friends and family and this and that. And the other. This is about improving the level of service delivery to all our citizens. And you know the Prime Minister is dead serious about that. There might be those who seek in their own interest, but the Prime Minister herself is definitely this is her agenda. She loves her people dearly, and I mean that's why we connect with her as like more of a family than and the prime minister. I mean there is no other person that we will connect like that. How we connect with Kamala like this, So the relationship is different compared to other politicians. So she will always have our support, whether leader or not. She will always have our support. Gentlemen, anything else you want to add here?
So I think Dr. Rambo kind of summarized what my position really is. We should only go. I mean, I said malfeasance should not be tolerated. Um, we should let it fall where it may. We should not let them get away with what they did. But at the same time, the prize is winning the next election, which is winning the heart and soul and mind of our people to vote for us. And Dr. Rambo said it well that we have to hold on to the people who we have. We must find ways to do it. I mean, the whipping boy right now is Padara. That boy coming for a lot of whipping, and that party branch, that party group in, I think he's from Cuba South. They should be getting ready to war, like Gary saying, get ready to go to war. They should be ready to, because that is my MP. You all are attacking my MP. I'm ready to go to war with you all.
Definitely.
Everybody, but that constituency in particular.
Yeah.
Just two little things I want to raise with you all, and we could leave it for another day. But I'm a little concerned about the issue of the CPAP people. We know they really letting go, because when the PNM did the same thing, when it took over, well, of course our party was not so terrible in terms of with the CPAP and the gangs and all of that, but we did involve in some of it, which is
Well,
rightly correct. What is happening now is the press is telling us that we are firing these people and they have no food to eat and blah 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 blah.
well,
Put
we
in the
know who the
picture
press
front
we
page.
know who the press is working
So,
for, right?
so we have to answer them properly, because that is not really what we're doing. And I see the priority, the guy who they're trying to whip him was this. He be the whipping boy for some time to come. And that's like how Munilal was some years back. This is a new whipping boy they found. So we have to answer them. And just one more thing, Ved, when you I noticed that you talk about the the pipeline that unfortunately that happened. What was occurring in my mind also, in that breath, you must also talk about the lady in my constituency of Arima who died in the fires. Never mind she's a PNM, but we love everybody anyway. And we think that something wrong there that happened, and we like to know what really happened to her.
It was my
So we like
intent.
link them
It's my
together, because
intent
we,
also.
we
It
are
was my
we
instinct.
we like everybody, and we are parties for everybody, that kind of thing. So we want to stretch across the aisle and do some of the things. And even though they vote for they might, some of them who cross over from the PN voted for us, they might want to do the same thing in 5 years' time if we
Mhm.
really play the cards right, and even more. So
No,
with
agree, agree.
But
tonight, go ahead.
the
Sorry.
service delivery must improve. That is our objective. We made how to say, there was a manifesto restructured into a manifesto, but we campaign on a certain premise, and we so far I think the government is focusing on delivering. So I want to encourage everyone to stay engaged, Winning the election is something I like to make a point. It's conquering the beach. You didn't conquer the land yet. We have much more enemy to destroy, and so we need to regroup, and focus on conquering the land now, and seizing the country for the army, for the Yellow Army. And our mission is to improve the service delivery and make sure all our citizens are taken care of. The healthcare, whether it's the securing the border, boosting the economy and creating opportunity. And with the amount of money stolen from our country, a lot of citizens could have been taken care of taken care of by it. A lot of money could have been invested into the small businessman who trying something. Even the guy, who's like I say, I like to use selling the mango and the orange on the side of the road. We need to treat him with some respect and not brutalize him with the police and provide a place for them. You go there and you could tell the person to move. Don't go and take the goods and throw it in a truck. That is totally disrespectful and inconsiderate. So I don't care which country it happening in. It should not happen in my country. And I have a zero tolerance for abusing poor people who trying to make a living. You should go deal with the ones who robbing and killing us and come in our house. The police should focus on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So the certain citizen blocking traffic, and one day you let them there for 29 days, and one day you come and just take the goods and throw it away, and don't give them a notice to move. That is totally unacceptable. So how we treat our citizens, how we enforce the law, there must be discretion on how we do it. So gentlemen, prepare yourself for
We
tomorrow
just,
night.
yeah,
I want to
just
continue.
before you go, Gary, I think we should start preparing achievement list for the 100 days.
Right, right, right. So you,
That's very important.
right, right. So we'll discuss that off here, and then we could move forward. Let's put together something for tomorrow night. I'm still trying to get Ken Ali on board here. I spoke to him tonight. We'll have to work something out, and I have some others I want to bring on board. So let's prep
Yeah,
ourselves for tomorrow night
yeah,
discussion, and
tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow evening I'm invited to for the Prime Minister of India,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
Modi.
yeah, I
So,
forgot about that. What
so I
time?
don't
What time
know
does
how
that
long.
end? What
Well, they
time that
said
would
it's
end?
starting at 5. So I don't know how
Uh-huh.
long it will be.
So then we could
Um,
start at 9 o'clock. Then how about we start at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, just to give some room for that, and we could comment on what took place there tomorrow night on that. And gentlemen, do
okay,
you agree on that? So we could start at 9. So we could comment on what we saw took place there tomorrow. So Vedi could give us some insight on what's taking place.
I'll give you a rundown. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
nice.
So
and
you come and discuss. Yeah.
some
Yeah,
part
sure.
of the press already trying to make a mockery of the visit, thinking that, well, what is he going to bring to the table? In other words,
Yeah, yeah, the Indian thing,
what
and yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
racial tone of things already started.
Well, in comparison to the Indian economy and the level of technological thing they have brought to the world, the best doctors you could think about, the
They,
best engineers. They're going into space. So let's come talk about that now, and then they could
yeah,
talk to us, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
No,
you
I
see,
mean,
again, you see the power of the press. We've
yeah.
already seen the power of the press, how that is so
Yeah,
much
well, like I
against.
said, that's why we have to stay engaged here. We have to build this team, and as time goes by, I'm hoping that we build the asset that are available to us to continue this program. I would
Yeah,
like to get a media team on the ground, working with us down there. If it's just one camera crew, eventually, I want to get to that position so that we are covering breaking news in Trinidad and covering the events, So we got to expand
mhm.
this media team. So Dr. Ramo, if you could talk to some people to help us to with that part of it,
Sure, 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 sure.
we
Will
want to
do.
expand our capabilities there. There's a lot of things to be covered, and I'm looking forward to getting a media team and being able to finance that. So see what you can do. We get some people to cover some main events, and then we could go into breaking news thing. So the channel is available. Things are
Okay.
paid for the broadcasting. I just need a team on the ground And then you could get some young people who are interested in volunteering, some UE students or something, if you have any connection. Even from the Rotary Club who are interested in covering what they're going in their community. And
Yes, we have
and use their
one of the
phone.
key stakeholders are the React, or what we call the ham radio people. They actually have news before before we even get it on any one of the media. They have
Right,
a
right.
very good thing
Right. So I'm
to get
interested in
somebody
getting the
involved.
breaking news. Anybody who, how to say, they could use their phone, and just willing to volunteer. It's a good experience for the young people. It's like I said, the channel is available to cover the breaking news and tell us about what's happening in their community. So I want to encourage that. I want to spread that news that it is available. So see who you can talk to and engage some of these UA students or even high school students who want to get a little practice and do things like give our children an opportunity here. We are about giving our young people opportunity. We are about creating and promoting our people who are trying to make a start in their business. All these things. So we want to expand here. All right, gentlemen. So think about what you want to do tomorrow night. We'll start at 9 to accommodate the visit of the Prime Minister of India, and we will do some recap on what took place during the day. I think it's the following day he's speaking in the Parliament, right? Or is it tomorrow? I forgot the day. I think it's tomorrow if I don't make a mistake. But I know there's event in the evening too. So let's get the facts together and we'll discuss tomorrow night.
Okay, great.
Sounds good. Sounds
Well,
good.
Good night. Good night,
thank you
everybody.
all,
Good night.
and good night, everyone.
Good night,
All
guys.
right. Take care, everybody.
All right, guys. Good night. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And remember, UNC USA is here for you and to help you with whatever discussions that you may have, concerns in your community. Mr. Singh, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Take care, Gary.
Good night, everybody.